The opening of the forward operating base Mahatao in Batanes on August 28, 2025, marked a quiet but significant milestone in the Philippines' evolving defense strategy. For decades, the armed forces of the Philippines was shaped by counterinsurgency campaigns against communist guerrillas and Moro separatist groups. Its doctrine, posture, and resources were almost entirely focused inward, while external defense remained neglected. Now, as geopolitical realities shift and China expands its military footprint across the South China Sea, the Philippines has begun to reposition itself. At the heart of this shift lies a small but strategically pivotal facility, a base located at the northernmost edge of the Philippine archipelago, staring directly at the Bashi Channel. Geography explains why Mahatao matters. The Batanes province, a string of islands closer to Taiwan than to Manila, sits astride one of the most critical maritime choke points in East Asia. The Bashi Channel connects the South China Sea to the Western Pacific, and it serves as the primary route for Chinese submarines and surface vessels sailing from Hainan Island into deeper waters. In times of peace, this corridor is a lifeline for commercial shipping and undersea cables. In times of crisis, it becomes the gate through which the People's Liberation Army Navy, PLAN, must pass if it hopes to project power into the Pacific. Controlling, or at least monitoring, this channel is therefore essential for any country concerned with the balance of power in East Asia. For Manila, the decision to invest in Mahatao represents not just tactical foresight, but a strategic recalibration of national defense priorities. Historically, Batanes was little more than a footnote in the Philippines' defense calculus. The AFP struggled with limited budgets and pressing domestic conflicts. Attention was consumed by operations in Mindanao or by disaster relief missions. The northern frontier was left largely unguarded, and its vulnerability was apparent to allies and adversaries alike. This changed gradually after 2014, when Chinese assertiveness in the South China Sea reached new heights with artificial island building and aggressive patrols. The 2016 arbitral ruling that invalidated China's expansive 9-line claim underscored Manila's legal rights, but without credible external defense capability, the ruling was largely symbolic. Under President Ferdinand Marcos Jr., however, the tide began to shift. His administration not only revitalized the enhanced defense cooperation agreement with the United States, but also authorized new base access points for American forces, including in Batanes. This provided the legal and logistical foundation upon which FOB Mahatao could be built. In its current form, Mahatao is modest in scale. It is not a sprawling fortress with hardened bunkers or runways capable of hosting fighter jets. Rather, it is a forward operating base designed to serve as a surveillance hub, a logistics waypoint, and a rapid response outpost. The Philippine Navy and Marine Corps maintain control of the facility, which hosts radar systems to monitor maritime activity, UAV detachments for aerial reconnaissance, and infrastructure to support small naval patrols. What makes Mahatao significant is not its size, but its location and potential. By placing even a small force at the gateway of the Bashi Channel, the Philippines has ensured that Chinese movements are now observed and, if necessary, contested. The integration of Mahatao into broader alliance structures magnifies its importance. For the United States, the base is a natural node in the first island chain, complementing American facilities in Okinawa and Guam. U.S. maritime patrol aircraft such as the P-8 Poseidon, as well as MQ-9 Reaper drones, could operate from or be supported by Mahatao, providing persistent ISR coverage of the Bashi Channel. Japan, which has already supplied coastal radar systems to the Philippines, sees Mahatao as an anchor point for regional situational awareness. Australia, through exercises such as Alon 25, has tested interoperability with Philippine forces near these northern waters. What was once a neglected frontier is quietly becoming a shared platform for collective defense. Looking ahead, the potential transformation of Mahatao is where its strategic weight truly lies. Analysts envision three primary trajectories. The first is its development into a missile outpost. The Philippine Marine Corps' Coastal Defense Regiment, which received its first BrahMos supersonic cruise missile systems from India in 2024, could deploy launchers to Mahatao. From that vantage point, Philippine forces would have the ability to strike hostile vessels transiting the Bashi Channel, effectively creating an anti-access area denial bubble at the northern edge of the archipelago. For China, this would complicate operational planning for submarine deployments and surface task groups. The second trajectory is its evolution into a radar and UAV hub. With enhanced long-range radar systems, potentially supported by Japanese or American technology, Mahatao could provide continuous surveillance deep into the Taiwan Strait and the Philippine Sea. Combined with UAV detachments, the base would serve as an ever-watchful eye, detecting movements and relaying real-time data to command centers in Manila and allied capitals. This surveillance capacity would make it nearly impossible for planned vessels to move undetected through the corridor. The third trajectory is Mahatao as a multinational forward base. While sovereignty will remain with the Philippines, the base could become a cooperative node where allied forces rotate through for joint exercises, logistics, or intelligence sharing. In this sense, Mahatao would mirror the evolution of other small but critical outposts, becoming more valuable for its integration into a wider network than for its standalone capabilities. This would place Mahatao squarely in the first island chain, a geographic barrier that China has long sought to break through, and a defensive belt that the United States and its partners seek to reinforce. Naturally, such moves are not without consequence. China views any strengthening of Philippine defenses, especially in coordination with allies, as hostile encirclement. One should expect Beijing to respond with military signaling, such as patrols near Batanes or more aggressive maneuvers in adjacent waters. The Philippines may also face political pressure and economic coercion. Yet the symbolism of Mahatao is powerful. It demonstrates Manila's willingness to risk confrontation in order to assert sovereignty and align itself more closely with allies. For Taiwan, Mahatao provides reassurance that its southern flank is not neglected. In a conflict scenario, Philippine surveillance and potentially even missile coverage could relieve pressure on Taiwanese defenses, enhancing deterrence. For the Philippines itself, the base represents a strategic awakening. After decades of neglecting external threats, Manila is beginning to accept the geopolitical realities of its location, straddling one of the most contested maritime frontiers in the world. Ultimately, FOB Mahatao may be small, but it is not insignificant. It represents the AFP's transition from an inward-looking counterinsurgency force to an outward-facing defender of maritime sovereignty. It is both a symbol and a tool, demonstrating Manila's intent to join allies in shaping the regional balance of power. Whether the Philippines can sustain and expand Mahatao remains an open question, given budgetary constraints and dependence on partners. But even in its early form, the base is a statement. The Philippines will no longer ignore its northern frontier. In doing so, it has added a new piece to the chessboard of East Asian security, one that Beijing cannot overlook. For those who follow military strategy in the Indo-Pacific, Mahatao is more than a dot on the map. It is a test case of how a middle power adapts to a rising great power next door, and how geography, when properly leveraged, can amplify influence. If you found this analysis useful, consider supporting our channel so we can continue bringing you timely, in-depth coverage of developments like these. Your engagement helps sustain independent defense analysis at a time when clarity is needed more than ever.